Okay, part two of my hemorrhoid banding. I don't know what I'm going to call this video. Part two of my journey of hemorrhoids and my hemorrhoid banding procedure that I had done today. Okay, so then once they ended up becoming, so now we got to the point where they just only come down when I have to go to the bathroom. Like when I poop, they come out. Once I get done, I got to push them back up in there. And so there would be considered what they call grade 3 hemorrhoids, because there's 3 grades. The first grade is they're just up. These are internal, by the way, these are internal hemorrhoids, okay? You can't have banding with the external ones. Internal ones, the grade 1, it's like they're just up in there. They stay up in there. Grade 2, they come out, when you poop, but then they go back up automatically. Grade 3 is the kind that I have where they come out when you poop, but they don't go up by their own. You got to push them back up in there. Grade 4 is they come out and it don't matter what you do. They still just kind of come out, and when you push them back up, they come back out and push them back up. Now, thank God I don't have a prolapsed rectum altogether. That's when your whole innards just come all the way out, and that's like a medical emergency. So anyway, so things I just noticed that, so that's where I was. And for years I have been at grade 3, where some days, depending upon what happens, they will sometimes still get inflamed, and I feel like it was back when I, was at the nursing home and I had to stick my finger back up in there. But I noticed that only happens if I actually have to go, and I just am ignoring the sign to go, because once I go, then everything goes back up and I'm good to go. But even then, I still need to kind of like chillax and relax and let everything reset before I get up and try to start doing other activities. Otherwise, they will start to come back down. So for years, I've been and that's kind of been the process. My habits went from sitting on the toilet. I remember, from 30 minutes, which is still really too long. Once the whole cell phone situation came about, now when you go to the bathroom, and I know we all do this, and this is what I'm trying to tell people, do not do this. Used to be when I would have a book, because I love reading, I would take a book with me and I would go sit on the toilet. But once the phones came, it's like the phones, you're like just sitting there, and it's just, you just are so comfortable. One of my nurse friends who, she's the only other person that knows, other than my other very close friends, about my situation, and she was like, yeah, it's very comfortable. You're just sitting there, you're on your phone, you're scrolling, but all of that pressure and tension in the booty, there's blood vessels down there, they get inflamed and engorged, and then you're stretching, and it's just not good. So you shouldn't be camping out. Things that got to the point where, like, I would like bring my work into the bathroom. It went from 30 minutes, to 40 minutes, to 45, to an hour sometimes. And now I'm massaging my belly, and I'm, meanwhile, my pelvic floor is stretching, and all of these things are, then I hit it. Then you add, excuse me, then you add menopause, and then the hormones, and then you got your pelvic floor with the hormones, with the now it's causing what's called a rectocele, which is my the my uh, 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 the vagina is pushing into the no no the rectum is pushing into my vagina and is interfering with me going peeing, and it's now you can't poop and you can't pee, you can't empty your bowels and you can't empty your bladder, and you got it's just effed up down there. Add to that, well, thankfully I ain't got no man, because there's just no way. I'm already having to deal with the shame of just aging and my skin not being as tight and firm as it was, my face sliding down and all of that, and my, I've always had issues with my legs and cellulite in my legs, and just a body image in general. Then you add the aging process in the skin, and so now my stuff, the round and all of that down there. I just couldn't even imagine having a man, and the shame that everything does not look the way it used to look, and so that causes you know triggers feelings of unlovability, like who's gonna love me, who's gonna wanna bang me, make love to me, let's just say that, who's gonna who's gonna want me, like I'm damaged goods. That's kind of the feeling of not feeling good enough. So I already got issues of shame and doubt and fear about myself, and me, having these dreams of wanting to put myself out there and not doing it because of XYZ. And yeah. So this whole, what I affectionately have grown to call this my doo-doo situation, has really added an additional layer to all of that. And it got to the point where I was literally like, what do you call it, just planning, having to plan my life around my BMs. And early on, when I got into life insurance, when we would go on these conventions and stuff like that, like getting a hotel or doing an Airbnb and all of that, I'm like, no, I'm not sharing, I don't want to share anymore with anybody anyway, if I can get away with it, just because I've just gotten older and I just want my own space if I can help it. I ain't trying to be with nobody that's snoring, because I will give you some pillow therapy in the middle of the night. But anywho, and I just don't want to, I can't be bothered with having to share a bathroom with somebody, because at that point, I was needing time to sit, and I don't want to hear nobody, worrying about, like, damn, you still in the bathroom? All of that, the pressure of having to hurry up and anxiety. I mean, I live in a 3-bedroom house. We have one bathroom, me and my son, and I have to like let him know, listen, I'm gonna be, if you need to go in the bathroom, I need to, because I'm gonna be in there for a while. And some days he would, like, thankfully he's a boy, he would go pee in the backyard, or he would pee in a jug. He's even pooped in the backyard, or pooped in, you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. So I hope I am sharing all of this so you do not have to go through this. And so, what have I done to treat this? And so when things, you know, I've been, I had already went to see a colorectal surgery like 2 or 3 years ago. Um, I started pelvic floor physical therapy. There's such a thing. These people, they actually like you have to have physical therapy. They all kind of exercises and breathing and things to do to help you, with my coordination. And basically, my goal was I want to just go to the bathroom and my whole rash roll don't come out, and then sit down for like 10, 15 minutes like normal people, like I used to remember, and take a crap and get up and go about my life. Like, don't take for granted that that's a thing. Um, and so at their worst, like I said, 2, 3 hours on the toilet. Um, and I was working with the therapist to help me with that. But then I wasn't really compliant with the exercises, because it just is a lot. Then you have these other tools, not only, the exercises, but, I'm also having to deal with my, not just my booty hole situation, but my vaginal situation and all of this stuff and exercises and tools to help, you know, with the atrophy that comes with menopause and all of these things. And, uh, and so, and I'm also in therapy, having to deal, I mean, because it really affects your mind. And it's like there's so much going on mentally with me that, it was just overwhelming. And I also believe that part of my, pelvic floor, constipation, hemorrhoid issue, also has to do with, um, uh, an energy of like not wanting to let go. It's like a spiritual thing happening, an energy, emotional thing happening as well, because I had, a nervous system thing happening. Um, and the people that know about this, they will tell you it's like, even while I'm thinking about it, it's like I've gotten in such a habit that I'm like always clenching down there. Number one, because, you know, of the trauma that I experienced from having to manage my innards from coming out all the time. And so that level of always, it's very tense down there. And so pelvic floor therapy is about helping you relax so that way you're able to open up and allow things to come out. And then also you have to work on strengthening. It's not just about doing Kegels, because doing Kegels is actually counterproductive to what my situation is. And a lot of women that suffer from pelvic floor dysfunction, a lot of times after having a baby, um, uh, and all of, and people that have, um, bladder, uh, I can't think of the layman term, where your bladder is tilted up and it keeps the flow of urine from coming out, or you having these bladder spasms where you're peeing on yourself just from coughing or laughing. Or, thank God, that's, it can always be worse. I'm lucky that I'm able to push everything back in. I'm very blessed that it's never got incarcerated or caught and I wasn't able to put it back in, because that's a whole medical emergency. I'm also very thankful that I still have enough strength down there that, I'm not, leaking urine or leaking stool, because some people are worrying about that, you know, able to control their gas. Like, I can still, keep everything up in there. So I'm very blessed about that. And, but I feel like if I'd have waited any longer, that's kind of where we were headed. either, because there was a scary time. There was a point where it got so scary. Now I'm into another 15 minutes. It got so scary a few weeks ago where I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready to consider some sort of invasive thing happening where things were just really inflamed back there. And I had been sitting for a long time. The longer you sit, the more inflamed it gets. And I felt like the poop just was not coming out. And um, I started thinking, oh my God, I have like what they call like an outlet bowel obstruction. Like I was literally felt like I was having, like, the hemorrhoids were so bad that they were obstructing the poop from coming out. And then trying to put them back in, I was really concerned. So I was like, let me just, my friend and nurse friend is like, have you ever taken a picture? I was like, you know what? I have not. And so I took a picture of how bad they were. It was gruesome. I won't insert a picture here for that. And and I finally made an appointment that I've been putting off to go get my colonoscopy and check everything. And thankfully, yeah, I had posted about my colonoscopy. No polyps. Everything was fine. Praise God. First time out of the four, this was my fourth colonoscopy, that I have not had any polyps. So I'm very thankful about that. And she was able to diagnose the hemorrhoids, uh, and said that, the banding, we're going to try, even though she said they're pretty bad, but we're going to try the banding, and hope that, um, that works out for you and we don't have to do the actual surgery and the cutting and the hemorrhoidectomy. So, what else do I want to say? Okay, so I'm going to do a part 3, and I'm going to actually talk about, let me see, what else do I want to say? Let me pause. I guess that's it. I'll come back and say some more. All right, peace and love.